Since I came back to this life, I've made a point to avoid riding with my crush. I had to keep telling myself that I'm just the driver's son, nothing more. When Chloe noticed the empty seat next to her, she actually called my dad Uncle for the very first time. "Uncle Daniel, are you leaving already?" she asked. My dad was caught off guard. "Miss Whitmore, did you need something?" he replied. Chloe felt a strange surge of irritation. "Aren't we waiting for Ethan today?" she questioned. My dad explained that I'd just texted him. I told him I had plans with some classmates and would just take the bus home later. Chloe's expression immediately shifted. Everything was different after her rebirth. She wondered what I could possibly be doing. In the past, I never missed an opportunity to ride with her. During our last life, I always worried about making her wait, so I'd be sitting there obediently in the car. Still, she knew this was for the best. We had dated for 5 years in that life, and Adrienne never moved on. This time around, she needed to keep her distance from me. It took me more than 2 hours to walk back to the Whitmore estate that day. I crossed the grounds and headed toward the staff house. Chloe spotted me from the second-floor balcony of the main manor. She watched me for a moment before calling out my name. Since I had my earbuds in, I didn't hear a thing, so I just kept walking straight to my room. Chloe marched toward the staff house with a cold look on her face. I tried to shut my door, but she blocked it with her hand. "Ethan, didn't you hear me calling you?" she snapped. Her attitude really annoyed me. I had my earbuds in. I told her, "I didn't hear you. What do you want?" That's when Chloe remembered she'd been reborn, too. At this point in time, we'd only just met and were basically strangers. "Why didn't you ride with Uncle Daniel after class?" she asked. I kept my voice distant. "Are you kidding? You're the employer and my dad is just the driver. Someone like me has no business riding with you. I overstepped in the past, but it won't happen again. Please don't blame my dad, Miss Whitmore." Chloe's face hardened instantly. "Good. At least you know your place," she said. "If Grandpa asks about you, you can explain it yourself. Just don't tell him I kicked you out of the car." She slammed the door and walked away. I wasn't bothered at all. I was never going to repeat the mistakes of my past. I'd already applied for a dorm on campus, but I had to wait a few days for a spot to open up. The next morning, I woke up early to catch the bus. Chloe had just gotten up when she saw me leaving for school. She stared darkly at my back as I walked away. "Don't think this is going to get my attention," she muttered. A few minutes later, the bus pulled up. It was totally packed, so I had to squeeze my way toward the back. I'd barely found a place to stand when someone pressed right up against me from behind. I turned around and saw a middle-aged man. He just stood there and gave me a creepy, faint smile. I tried to shift away, but he wouldn't budge. He just kept pressing against me. Suddenly, a stunning girl appeared out of nowhere. She pushed through the crowded aisle while carrying a cactus. "Excuse me," she said, using the spikes to clear a path. She reached the man in no time. He didn't move fast enough and got pricked by the plant. "Are you crazy? Who brings a cactus onto a bus?" he yelled. "Watch where you're going." The girl took his spot and gave him a half-hearted apology. "Sorry, it won't happen again. Thanks for being so understanding." The man shot me a bitter look before finally moving away. I looked up at the girl, and she happened to be looking right down at me. Her sharp gaze made me feel like a total idiot. After a few seconds, I had to ask, "Are you making fun of me?" She paused for a moment. "Just be careful on this bus," she warned. "There are a lot of creeps like him around here. I've seen it happen plenty of times." It finally clicked. She had been helping me all along. "Thanks for the help. I'm Ethan Hayes." I told her I was a playwriting student over at Ashford. She was Avery Sinclair, an agriculture major from Breerwood. We talked until the bus pulled up. Our campuses were only 2 blocks apart. I wanted to thank her one more time after we got off, but Avery's long strides carried her toward her campus before I could. I just headed to class and put it out of my mind. The freshman welcome show this year was especially packed. Chloe was the main attraction. Everyone in town wanted to see Port Sterling's famous Whitmore Heiress. I was the only person who didn't give a damn. I had no interest in seeing Chloe, but Mason insisted on dragging me along anyway. "You only get one freshman show," he argued. "We work too hard to get here, and college won't feel right if we skip it." Mason pulled me right to the 3rd row. A guy from the Ashford events office was struggling with some snacks nearby. He looked completely overwhelmed and happened to spot me. He asked if I could carry a box of bread backstage. It was for the performers who hadn't found time to eat. I grabbed the box and made my way back. Plenty of upperclassmen were waiting for their turn to perform. I dropped the bread on a table near the door. My eyes drifted toward the dressing room without me even thinking about it. In my previous life, I'd gone back there on purpose. I wanted to make sure Chloe got the berry bread she liked. She was allergic to peanuts, and most of the snacks contained nuts. I used to worry she'd the wrong one and ruin her performance. This time, I couldn't care less. She was old enough to read a label. For some reason, Chloe stayed inside the dressing room, just waiting. Suddenly, there was a knock. Brooke started to get up, but Chloe beat her to the door. She yanked it open and said coldly, "I'm not eating." She stopped mid-sentence, though. "Who are you looking for?" The guy outside flinched at her tone. "Miss Whitmore, I just heard you were performing tonight." Chloe scowled and slammed the door in his face. She went back to the couch, looking absolutely freezing. Brooke scratched her head. "Chloe, don't you like Nathan Pierce?" Chloe froze for a second. I didn't see his face. "Then who did you think it was?" Chloe didn't say a word. She was just too irritated. Why wasn't Ethan here yet? In their last life, he would have arrived by now. She couldn't wait any longer. Chloe finally stepped outside, but the bread was already being passed around. Brooke came back with a piece. "Eat something to hold you over." "There's no time to go out, and we'll eat after the show." Chloe took the bread and looked at it. When she saw it was nut-flavored, her expression got even darker. Chloe didn't notice me until she walked out on stage. The guys in the crowd went crazy. I just looked down at my phone. I even put my earbuds in, probably because the noise was just too much. Chloe finished singing First Love, and the audience lost it. People started rushing the stage with flowers. Chloe had several bouquets in her arms, but she didn't leave. For some reason, she kept staring in my direction. Mason came back to the third row holding 2 bouquets. He shoved one into my hands. "Ethan, I'm giving Chloe flowers. You want to come?" I handed it right back. Giving Chloe flowers was a joke. I'd honestly rather give them to a dog. Then I looked at the stage and remembered something. Brooke had helped me a lot in my last life. "Fine, let's go together." On stage, Chloe remembered how she used to refuse my flowers. This time, she planned to accept them. She knew I truly loved her. She didn't love me back, but she did care a little. Chloe watched intently as I walked toward the stage with the bouquet. I reached her before I even realized it. As I got close, she freed one hand and reached for my flowers, but I didn't stop. I walked right past her and offered the bouquet to Brooke instead. I gave her a smile. "Your performance was incredible," I said. "These are for you. Is that okay?" Brooke froze in surprise, then slowly accepted the flowers. "Of course. Thank you," she whispered. I turned and left the stage without giving Chloe a single look. Brooke caught Chloe's eye, looking completely confused. Chloe snapped at her immediately. "What is going on between you and Ethan?" Brooke was speechless for a moment. "Nothing. I barely even know him," she stammered. "Chloe, maybe he's just doing this to get your attention." Chloe scoffed. "Please, he's a nobody. Why would I ever notice him?" It was already 10:00 p.m. by the time I got back to the Whitmore estate. My dad rushed over the second he saw me. "Ethan, did you see Miss Whitmore at school today?" He looked worried. "She didn't ask me to pick her up, and she still isn't back yet. Her phone is turned off too. Mrs. Whitmore is looking everywhere for her." I pulled up the Ashford Freshman Network on my phone. "Tell her not to worry," I told him. "They probably just went to a karaoke bar." "Okay, I'll go tell her now," Dad said. "That way, she won't come over here to question you." I scrolled through the group photos on the app. In one of them, I saw a handsome guy sitting right next to Chloe. It was Adrian Cole, that ended up together after all. Chloe staying out all night had made Victoria absolutely furious. I decided to leave the house early the next morning to avoid being questioned. As soon as I boarded the bus, I spotted Avery. Today, she was holding a succulent that looked like it was made of crystal. I was worried that creep from before might return, so I went straight to her and said hello. She quietly made some room for me and shielded me from the aisle. I was grateful for her thoughtfulness, so I tried to start a conversation. "Avery, what kind of plant is that? It's beautiful." I stared at the plant, but I didn't touch it. It looked exactly like a gift I had received at my graduation in my previous life. "It's a neon light Haworthia," she replied. "Do you like it?" I nodded. "I do. It looks just like crystal." Before I could even finish my sentence, Avery pushed the pot toward me. "Take it. It's yours now." I took it from her, feeling completely surprised. "Are you really giving this to me?" Avery's face remained expressionless. "You like it, don't you? Just keep it. I have plenty of them at home." Then I remembered that she was an agriculture student. She was probably an expert at growing all sorts of plants. Last time, she had a cactus with her. Besides, I figured one little succulent couldn't cost that much. I accepted it happily. "Thanks, Avery. Bubble tea is on me next time." Avery gave me a long, steady look. She pulled out her phone. "Then don't back out. Let's add each other first." I took out my phone and added her contact info. "Deal, I won't back out." The bus arrived at the stop a few minutes later. This time, Avery didn't just rush off. She actually stopped to say goodbye, which caught me off guard. After waving goodbye, I carried the plant with me to class. Mason rushed into the room at the last second and sat down beside me. He looked incredibly excited. I stayed up all night reading the gossip blogs, he whispered. They say the Whitmore Heiress is dating Harbor. I knew exactly who he meant. He was talking about Adrian. Adrian had planned to study abroad, but his father's scandal had ruined those plans. He had to settle for Harbor Tech instead, and the semester had just started. His family was in deep trouble, so he was desperate to hold on to a rich heiress like Chloe. Chloe had even fought with her family just to stay here for him. They really were a perfect match. They were probably all over each other at his apartment right now. Mason seemed baffled by how calm I was. Ethan, aren't you shocked? Chloe Whitmore is actually dating someone. What does her love life have to do with me? I asked. I'd rather spend my time working another job. Mason nodded. True, she can date whoever she wants. A moment later, he looked down at my desk. Ethan, is that neon light yours? Dude. You always tell me you're broke, but then you bring a 4-figure plant to class. I was completely stunned. You gotta be kidding, right? How could a tiny succulent like this cost so much? Mason took a minute to study it closely. No way, he said. It's worth even more than that, at least 5 figures. I did a quick search online and realized it really was that expensive. Avery must have worked incredibly hard to grow one this perfect. I pulled up Avery's orbit profile. I snapped a photo of the Haworthia and sent it to her. When are you finished today? I'll bring the plant back to you. Avery just replied with a question mark. Didn't you like it? She asked. It's yours now, so why return it? It's way too expensive, and I'm honestly afraid I'll kill it. You really should take it back. After a long pause, Avery simply replied, no. Then she forwarded me a care guide for a neon light Haworthia. Just follow this, she wrote. Ask me if you need any help. I set my phone down and looked at the plant in a whole new light. But Mason wasn't finished yet. He kept staring at the Haworthia and suddenly blurted out, Damn, Ethan, why does that pot look like it's from Agat? I clutched my chest. Stop right there, I don't even want to know. I didn't have any afternoon classes, so I carried it like a precious treasure all the way back to my room. My stepmother, Linda, called out to me through the window next door. Ethan, Mrs. Whitmore wants to see you. Just hearing Victoria's name made me feel irritated. During the 5 years I dated Chloe, Victoria always found ways to harass me whenever Chloe wasn't around. My dorm wouldn't be ready for another week, so I was stuck staying here until then. I approached Victoria with a polite expression. What can I do for you, Mrs. Whitmore? If there's a way I can help, I will. Chloe skipped her classes again, she said. Her advisor called today and mentioned she hasn't attended in 2 days. The semester just started too. Victoria sounded completely devastated, but I didn't feel a thing. I knew for a fact her advisor would never call Victoria about Chloe skipping class. Who would actually dare to challenge the Whitmore Heiress or try to police her attendance? Ethan, don't you go to the same school as Chloe? She asked. You share a few classes, right? Could you keep an eye on her for me? Just text me whenever she skips. Here, let's add each other on orbit. I knew Victoria wasn't actually upset about the missed classes. She was furious because Chloe skipped them to spend time with Adrian. This same thing had happened before, but I actually liked Chloe back then. I used to warn her so she would show up to class first. Once I sent Victoria a photo of her in class, she would leave. When Victoria eventually found out, she took her anger out on me. This time, I had no intention of helping Chloe. I was just about to refuse when Linda patted me on the back. It's only a picture of Miss Whitmore, she said. That's easy enough. Don't worry, Mrs. Whitmore. Ethan can handle it. She scanned Victoria's Orbit account with her own phone and then forwarded the profile to me. I followed Linda out with a heavy scowl on my face. I'm not taking any pictures, I told her. You're the one who agreed, so you can do it yourself. I went back to my room. I understood exactly what Victoria was planning. I had been trying so hard to get close to Chloe in the past, and Victoria had obviously noticed. Chloe absolutely hated being watched, so Victoria wanted me to secretly take photos of her. It would make Chloe despise me and keep her away from Adrian at the same time. Chloe finally came home after 10 that night. She immediately started a loud argument with Victoria. After nearly an hour of fighting, Chloe stormed out of the manor. She walked straight to the gazebo that faced my window. In my previous life, I often watched Chloe through that very window. Chloe stared at it coldly and started counting. By the time she reached 20, the driver's son would always come out to her. He would bring her food, an umbrella, or just check on her. But then, with a soft thud, the window suddenly shut. Then the curtains were drawn tight. Chloe froze in place. She stared in disbelief. Then she walked over and rapped on the glass. I really didn't expect Chloe to knock. I let a few seconds pass before I finally stepped outside. Did you need something, Miss Whitmore? I asked. Chloe gave me a complicated look. Why did you shut the window? She demanded. For privacy, obviously. I don't like people staring inside. Chloe's face hardened at my response. I wasn't behaving the way I used to, but she probably thought it was just another game to get her attention. Fine, keep it shut from now on. Don't you dare open it, she snapped. I glared at her back as she walked away. What annoying, hot-headed Heiress. Suddenly, Chloe stopped and spun around. My mom told you to take photos of me during class, didn't she? I froze. How did she figure that out? Relax, I said, trying to stay calm. I'm not going to secretly photograph you. I never have, and I never will. Chloe scoffed, and her expression became hard to read. After a moment, she spoke up. Go ahead. If she wants pictures, then take them. I'm not planning to skip class anyway. She turned to leave, likely remembering her past life. Back then, Victoria had screamed at me for covering for her. This time, she didn't want a repeat of that. But then I suddenly called out, wait. Chloe stopped, looking like she'd expected me to cave. She thought I still liked her after all. What? She asked haughtily. Then she noticed my phone was pointed right at her. Miss Whitmore, you just said I could take pictures, right? Please repeat that so no one can blame me later. Chloe snapped at me. I said you can take all the photos you want. Happy now? She stormed off in a rage. I saved the video and slept peacefully that night. I had no idea that Chloe was so angry she couldn't sleep at all. Chloe had an early class the following morning. Once she got into the car, she instinctively glanced to her left. I wasn't there waiting for her like I used to be. A few minutes later, the car drove past me as I walked down the road. Chloe's eyes locked to the milk in my hand. I've always enjoyed milk in the morning. Every day, I'd warm up 2 bottles in hot water and drink them during the ride. It had been a long time since Chloe had tasted that milk. She stared for a couple of seconds before shouting, "Stop." Then she looked at me and said, "Get in." I just shook my head. Thanks, Miss Whitmore, but I'm taking the bus today. Chloe had actually reached out first, yet I turned her down. She scoffed. Suit yourself. The car roared off and I made it to my bus on time. Just as I expected, Avery was already there. I walked over, feeling pleasantly surprised. Morning, Avery, I said. She quickly tucked her phone away. If I had looked a bit closer, I would have seen what she was doing. She'd been scrolling through my Orbit feed. I held out a bottle of warm milk for her. This one's for you. Avery and I had shared the bus ride several times now, so we were getting more comfortable. She showed me pictures of her beautiful garden on her phone. After we stepped off the bus, she smiled. I'll show you my garden in person sometime. There's even a small fish pond. While we were talking, Avery suddenly came to a halt. I felt a chill too. I looked up and spotted Chloe standing nearby with 2 friends. She was glaring at the milk in Avery's hand. One of her friends started teasing her. Chloe, isn't that your driver's son? Didn't he used to follow you everywhere? When did he switch girls? The phrase switch girls really hit a nerve. Chloe never imagined that I had been reborn too. She glared at Avery's milk and then sneered at me. So that's why you stopped begging for rides. You found someone else, so now I'm not good enough for you. My heart sank. Miss Whitmore, what are you even talking about? I asked. What? Am I wrong? She shot back. When you first moved into our house, didn't you wait in the car for me every single morning? You used to bring me that milk too. Why are you giving it to her now? Looking back at my old self makes me cringe. I truly regret ever having feelings for Chloe. What was wrong with her today? Chloe looked Avery over one more time, her eyes full of judgment. You probably don't know, but he's just my driver's son. I felt completely mortified. I'm so sorry, Avery. Avery reached over and ruffled my hair with a gentle smile. Don't apologize. You didn't do anything wrong. I knew exactly how cruel Chloe could be, and I didn't want Avery getting dragged into her mess. You should get to class, I told her. Don't be late. Avery looked at Chloe and asked, who is she? I hesitated for a second. She's just crazy. Avery paused, then asked me with a bit of hesitation. Is she your girlfriend? Of course not. I rushed to deny it, which made Chloe scoff. She looked at me as if the very idea of dating a driver's son was beneath her. I was absolutely furious. Right. A driver's son wasn't good enough for her standards. Then who exactly had she been dating for the last 5 years? A ghost? I never asked you to date me, I snapped. What is wrong with you? If you're sick in the head, go get some help. Across both of my lives, this was the very first time I had ever cursed Chloe out like that. She froze, staring at me in total shock. She went silent, and so did Avery. I felt a wave of embarrassment wash over me. Bye, Avery. I'm going to class now. You should probably head out, too. Without waiting for her to say anything, I turned and ran through the campus gates. I was too afraid to even look back at Avery. I was terrified that I'd see surprise or contempt in her eyes. When I was with Chloe in my previous life, I'd seen those looks more than enough. Chloe just stood there with a stone-faced expression, glaring at Avery with pure resentment. Avery's face had darkened too. She watched me disappear into the distance, still holding her milk, before she finally turned to leave. I had a general education class that morning. Once I sat down, I pulled up my chat with Avery. I really wanted to apologize for the scene. I spent forever typing and deleting messages, but I couldn't send anything. Nothing I wrote felt right. Just as I was about to lock my screen, a message from Avery popped up. What's wrong? That's when I realized I'd been typing for nearly 10 minutes without sending a single word. She must have seen the typing indicator the entire time. My face had to burn. Avery, I'm so sorry about what happened earlier, I messaged back. I really hope you won't take it to heart. She replied quickly. I told you it wasn't your fault. You don't have to keep apologizing. My eyes started to sting. Compared to Chloe, Avery was just so incredibly kind. Chloe had talked about me like I was nothing right in front of her. I wasn't sure if Avery had the wrong idea about me now. What if she thought I was the type to flirt with every girl I came across? While I was lost in thought, someone walked by and bumped into my desk. I looked up and saw Chloe walking past me with a freezing expression. She went to the back of the room and took a seat. I was surprised she actually showed up for class. Wasn't she supposed to go see Adrian? I guess she really meant what she said last night. After a moment, I grabbed my phone and snapped a picture of her. I sent it to Victoria right away. Victoria had given me permission to send proof, so I followed through. I'd do anything to avoid more trouble. As soon as Chloe sat down, her friend Paige whispered to her, Ethan just took a picture of you. Chloe's expression finally seemed to soften a bit. I know, she replied. I'm not blind. For the next 2 days, I'd snap a quick photo whenever Chloe and I were in the same class to keep Victoria happy. Before long, rumors started flying that I was obsessed with Chloe. People were saying I was secretly photographing her all over campus. Mason showed me the posts while scrolling through his phone. They're saying you like Chloe and that you're stalking her, he said. They say you take pictures of her during class and even follow her across campus to other rooms. I was completely speechless. No wonder everyone had been staring at me lately. It wasn't nearly as dramatic as they made it sound. Someone was clearly twisting the truth to ruin my reputation. It was all just a huge misunderstanding. The girl kept skipping her other classes, so Victoria had asked me to keep an eye on her. I had to send daily proof that Chloe was actually attending. Mason looked at me, completely stunned. That mom is terrifying. It's no surprise Miss Whitmore is such a rebel. Ethan, are you really not going to explain yourself? Everyone has the wrong idea, and they're saying some pretty nasty things. I just shook my head. I knew these rumors wouldn't last very long. In 2 weeks, Adrien would be leaving the country to deal with a family crisis. Once he was gone, Chloe wouldn't have a reason to skip class to see him anymore. When Victoria finally relaxed, I wouldn't have to take those photos every day. I had the worst luck at lunch and ran into Chloe again. It felt like a curse. In my previous life, I worked so hard to set up accidental meetings with her. Now that I wanted nothing to do with her, she was everywhere I looked. You've been taking pictures of me for 2 days now. Aren't you going to report back? Chloe stopped and gave me a pointed look. Did you save my photos to your gallery? I looked at her with pure disgust. You kept cutting class, so Victoria made me track your attendance. You're showing up every day now and she's happy. There's nothing left to report. Relax, I didn't save a single shot. Chloe's eyes flickered and she actually looked disappointed. You took all those photos and didn't keep one? Why would I asked, to ward off evil spirits. Chloe laughed, clearly not believing me. I don't buy it, Ethan. Do you like me and just won't admit it? At this point in my old life, I really did like her. But now I knew better. I pulled up my chat history with Victoria. If you don't believe me, take a look for yourself. Chloe snatched the phone out of my hand. The chat was packed with photos of her during and after class. Every single shot was a blurry profile or a view of her back. Not one showed her face clearly. Her expression soured instantly. Unbelievable. You're spying on me for her, but you won't even take a decent picture of my face? Do you really hate looking at me that much? I kept my face blank. Your face isn't worth the storage space. Chloe nodded and let out a cold laugh. Then whose face is worth it? Avery Sinclair's? Why are you bringing Avery into this? I snapped. Avery? That sounds pretty personal. I'm older than her too. Why don't you call me that? What's going on between you two, anyway? I reached out to grab my phone back. Whatever it is, it's none of your business. Chloe's face went dark and she slammed my phone onto the ground. The screen shattered instantly. I scrambled to pick it up. Chloe, are you crazy? You broke the screen, so you're paying for the repair. I'll send you the bill and I hope the great Miss Whitmore won't try to dodge it. I turned and walked away. I couldn't stand being near her for another second. Chloe stomped her foot, fuming. She'd actually been happy when she found out I was taking pictures of her. She assumed I had a crush, so she let it happen. She thought I'd be staring at those photos in secret later on. Instead, she just ended up making herself miserable. I walked back through Market Row, not realizing Avery was having lunch there with some friends. She saw me first, but she didn't say a word. She'd spent the whole morning at the agriculture school, and her clothes were covered in mud. She didn't want me to see her like that. Plus, I looked like I was in a bad mood. After I vanished into the crowd, Avery noticed her classmates were staring at me too. "That's the guy you were talking about, right?" one asked. "He looks so innocent." "It's hard to believe he's a stalker." Avery couldn't stay quiet. "What are you talking about? What stalker?" "Haven't you heard of Chloe Whitmore? She's the campus celebrity. Apparently her driver's son has a massive crush on her. He goes here too. He's been caught secretly taking photos of her every single day." Her classmate pulled up a post on her phone. "Look at this. The Whitmore Heiress has only been here for 2 weeks, and she already has an obsessed stalker following her around. This is the guy." The post made it very clear, showing me taking a photo of Chloe from behind. Avery thought back to what Chloe had mentioned earlier that morning. Did Ethan actually have feelings for her? She scowled at the screen. Either way, these kinds of posts were hurting Ethan's reputation. She decided she should probably get them taken down. When I got back to campus, I saw the post accusing me of secretly photographing Chloe, but it was deleted almost immediately. Every other post about me vanished right along with it. Mason was completely stunned. Is this what the Whitmores can do? They can just scrub the entire internet clean. I stared at my phone, feeling doubtful that Chloe was the one who did it. But if it wasn't Chloe, then who was it? On the third day, I reached class just as Chloe was rushing down the stairs. "It's Adrienne's birthday, and I'm going to buy him a gift," she said. "Cover for me today. I'll be in class tomorrow." She spoke to me as if helping her out was just my duty. I lifted my phone and snapped a photo of her. Then I told her coldly, "Done. You can go now." I opened Orbit, getting ready to send Victoria the proof that she was skipping. Suddenly, Chloe snatched the phone right out of my hand. "Why are you being so difficult? I told you it's Adrienne's birthday. I'll be home by 8. Is it really that hard to just cover for me?" I let out a sneer. "Actually, it is. Victoria isn't someone you can easily fool." I'd already learned the hard way how much it costs to lie to her in my previous life. Chloe's eyes sparkled with a knowing look. "And you still claim you don't like me? The moment I mention Adrienne's birthday, you look so jealous. Being this delusional is a real illness, princess. You should get some help." Furious, Chloe walked away with my phone in her hand. "I'll be back at 8. You can get it from me then. I'll explain everything to my mother myself." I chased after her in a rage, but Chloe hopped into her car and sped away. I felt completely trapped between Victoria and Chloe. Right then, I decided my dad needed to quit his job. I'd just have to take on more part-time work to earn the extra money. Without my phone, I couldn't even get in touch with Victoria. I'd have to explain the situation whenever I finally got back. I also couldn't for the bus or buy anything to eat. I had to ask Mason to unlock a rental bike for me. I figured since Avery hadn't seen me in 3 days, she probably wouldn't try to message me anyway. Meanwhile, Avery showed up at the bus stop exactly on schedule. After waiting for 10 minutes, she boarded the bus I might take. When she reached my normal stop, she straightened up and watched the front door, but the doors closed without me ever getting on. Avery's eyes filled with disappointment. Ever since we ran into Chloe after getting off the bus, I hadn't ridden it again. Was I trying to avoid her, or was I just keeping my distance because of Chloe? After a while, she opened our Orbit chat and sent a message. "How is the neon light, Horthia? Give it some sun, but never put it in direct sunlight." After she sent the harmless text, she waited nervously for a reply. However, the entire morning passed without a single response. By the time evening came, I still hadn't replied. After worrying about it all day, Avery sent one more message. "You didn't kill it, did you?" This time, a reply came back almost instantly. "Don't message Ethan again." Avery's face darkened immediately. She sent back a question mark, but a red exclamation mark appeared on the screen. Ethan had blocked her. Or rather, someone else had used his phone to block her. Who? Chloe. Did Ethan actually like her? Were they together at this very moment? After saying goodbye to Mason, I rode the rental bike home by myself. While I was waiting at an intersection, Avery spotted me from the window of a bus. She could hardly believe what she was seeing. Was I really biking to school just to avoid her? As I pedaled slowly